Good morning. Welcome to First Unitarian Universalist Church of Rochester. We are a congregation that believes in many spiritual paths to lead us in practices of justice and love. Your faith, your doubts, your questions, your identity are welcome here. You can join us after service for refreshments and conversation downstairs in the Commons. And a note today, between services, children are invited to a chalice choir rehearsal up on the second floor in the chapel, and parents to a parent group in a classroom nearby. Drop-ins are welcome. I think that's true, Joe. Joe says yes, drop-ins welcome. So please join us. And this Wednesday, there will also be a rehearsal for that too, for the kids' choir to sing next week, renamed the Chalice Choir, so all are welcome. And there are many ways to give through the church this season. Our offering plate in its entirety will go to our monthly justice partner, Family Promise. And there's the giving tree down in the lobby with gifts that can be purchased and returned by next Sunday. You can also bring back your guest at your table boxes if you received those or saw those in the lobby next week as well, preferably counted up in cash or check, but we'll take coins as well. For donations to the UU Service Committee. So many ways to give. You can find all that in your e-news as well. And then join us throughout this month for special holiday services. This Thursday evening, we have a Blue Holiday service with music, poetry, and candlelighting, honoring that the holidays for some can be a time of grief and struggle. All are welcome to that. That's this Thursday at 7 o'clock. And then join us the following Wednesday, the 21st, for a solstice celebration, our normal Wednesday night supper, and then some story time, ending with a service and fire, and then Christmas Eve services at 4 and 6 p.m. with a dessert reception between. So lots of ways to gather and celebrate the holidays this season. This Wednesday night, join us for supper at 5:30, followed by conversation with the Building Our Future team. Right after the supper at 6:30 is an open time for Q&A. And then at 7 o'clock, we'll have an important time together for small and large group conversation. Whether you've come to forums in the past or not, whether your mind's made up about how you might vote in our January vote, it's important for you to come this Wednesday night, if you can, to hear from one another, either in person or online. We'll have a Zoom room as well for guided conversation. And you can also pick up this Building Our Future quick guide summary. It's around the church down in the Commons. There's a little table down in the lobby as well. If you need just a quick guide reminder of all the information that's been covered in many forums in some succinct ways, you can pick this up and take a look at it as well. So please join us in that conversation this Wednesday night. A special welcome to our guest musician Brady, studying instrument performance, playing oboe and clarinet today. We are grateful for you giving your gifts of music this morning. Welcome. So I invite you to take a breath now as we enter this time with these words from the Reverend Eliza Tupper Wilkes, minister of our church in the 1870s. May our faith in humanity and our message of hope and good cheer light our way. It's good to be together. In just a moment, our opening hymn will call us back. But before that, I invite you to rise in body or spirit and greet those around you and greet those online as well. Please rise.
On the second Sunday of Advent, we light the chalice with these words. In this holiday season, may we find the patience to forgive ourselves, to forgive those who do not do as we wish. May we find patience, and may we find the wisdom to let be. I'd like to invite any children who'd like to come up forward for today's story. So today's story has 2 lessons in it. And one of them is like, oh, totally get that one. And then the other one is a little bit more hidden. So I'm going to see what you find about today's story. It is called Share Some Kindness, Bring Some Light, and it is by April Scott. And you might want to take a look up there because I'm going to read from a different thing since microphone and book don't always go real well together. At least I don't have a mask on today. So this is about Coco and Bear. And they were friends from almost the very first time they met. They were very different. Bear was big and, well, kind of furry. And Coco was small and not a bear. Bear felt shy, and Coco felt brave. But they were actually alike in the most important way. I like that you're kind, said Coco. That's my favorite thing about you, too, said Bear. I also like that you are such a good dancer, exclaimed Coco. I wish all the animals knew all the good things about me that you know. They don't? Asked Coco. They say I must be mean because I'm so big, and some of them are afraid of me. Noodle strudel, Coco sighed in disbelief. Yeah, said Bear. Coco gave Bear a big hug because that's what made her feel better whenever she was sad. So after Bear got some of his sadness out, Coco said, "My grandma always tells me, when life gets dark as winter's night, share some kindness and bring some light. If we can do that, maybe the other animals will be able to see what a kind of bear you are." "But how do you share kindness?" said Bear. Coco thought a moment. "Well, maybe kindness is something you can give away, like a gift." "We can bake cookies." "But how do we bring light?" "Let's make lanterns," said Coco. "They are so cozy." "I have some supplies in my cave we can use." Does anybody else have a bear-sized apron? That's a pretty big apron. When they were finished, they loaded up Bear's sled with all their gifts. "Ready?" asked Coco. "And a little scared," Bear nodded. "It's okay to be scared," assured Coco, "as long as you don't let the scariness stop you from sharing the kindness and bringing the light." Their first stop was Badger's house. Badger was not impressed. "I only eat cookies with worms in them," he said grumpily. "Would you like a lantern instead?" asked Bear. "How am I supposed to sleep all day with all that light in here?" scowled Badger. "No, thank you." Next, they tried Rabbit's house. Why would you bring me gifts?" asked Rabbit. "We want to show you how kind Bear is," replied Coco hopefully. "But what if you're trying to trick me? A big bear wouldn't want to be friends with a small rabbit like me. No, thank you." They didn't have much luck with Hedgehog or with Skunk. You'd think Skunk would be looking for some friends, maybe. "I'm ready for a bake," said Bear. "Maybe we need to make some different gifts and try again tomorrow," said Coco. The walk home was cold, and the only sound was the crunch of paws and boots through the snow. Until... "Help!" "Did you hear that?" asked Bear. "It's coming from over there." Coco leapt off the path and... Whoop. "Quick, climb on my back," Bear told Coco. "Help!" came the cry again. "Why, it's a baby deer," said Coco. "What are you doing way out here?" she asked. I went on an adventure," said Baby Deer, shivering. "Oh, we love adventures too," said Bear. I do too," said Baby Deer, but now I'm stuck." "Don't be afraid," said Coco. "We can help you." "How?" asked the Baby Deer. "You can ride on my back too," replied Bear. Meanwhile, back at home, far away from this adventure, the other animals were frantically searching for Baby Deer and calling out, "Baby Deer, where are you?" "Here I am," shouted Baby Deer. "I got stuck in the snow, but Coco and Bear found me. They gave me a ride home." "Oh, thank you," exclaimed Mama Deer. "Wow, it's a good thing Bear's so big," said Rabbit. "And brave," said Hedgehog. "And friendly," added Skunk. "I guess he's a kind bear after all," grumbled Badger. "Bear, did you hear that? They finally figured out that you are kind," exclaimed Coco. "But I don't understand," said Bear. "They didn't want our cookies or our lanterns." "Well, your lanterns came in handy after all, but helping Baby Deer showed us how kind you really are," explained Mama Deer. "But we helped just because it was the right thing to do," said Coco. "Exactly," said Mama Bear. Bear reflected. "I guess kindness is more than giving cookies or lanterns. Kindness is giving the gift of you." "I think I get it now." "Get what?" asked Bear. "When life gets dark as winter's night, shares some kindness and brings some light. Coco grinned and started tapping her foot. Bear, there's one more thing the others don't know about you. And Bear began to dance. So I wonder what the two lessons are. One is kindness. And what's kind of the secret one? Does anybody know? And it's not secret, it's just not as obvious. Be nice to everyone. And were all of the animals super nice to Bear when he came to their door? No, because they were judging him on stuff they thought about Bear. So, kindness, and everybody be kind to everybody. And where does the kindness come from? Does it come from cookies? No. Does it come from a lantern? No. It comes from your heart. Exactly. Austin will now play the children's benediction, and we'll meet over by the door.
December is a tough month. There's no question, at least for me. I have seasonal affective disorder and am very sensitive to the lack of light right now. I'd like to crawl into a hole and sleep until spring. But that is only the tip of the iceberg. December follows November, which begins the holiday season. So we come into this month slightly satiated from Thanksgiving and excited about the upcoming holidays. Decorating to do, food to plan, cookies to bake, parties to give or attend, family to visit or get the home ready for, church activities, school concerts and games, gifts to purchase or finish making, assuming we didn't work ahead, end of the year financial planning, New Year planning, and maybe resolutions to create. And to top it off, winter has truly set in. Snow on the ground, sidewalks to shovel, roofs to clear, snow people to build, winter sports to revel in. And we have COVID precautions, RSV and flu, as well as our own private griefs and sorrows. If it sounds like a lot, it is, and it can be overwhelming. December is bookended by a holiday month and the new year, a double whammy. Wonder can be hard to make space for in such a time. A few weeks ago, I listened to a podcast which recommended rethinking our traditions and activities to make space for the wonder and love we are looking for in this season. Do we really need to bake all those cookies? What food does our family really enjoy and expect? What would they miss? Where can we make downtime by eliminating something? When I heard her ideas, it was like being hit in the side of the head. Such a sensible plan, yet scary. Will the kids miss all the different kinds of cookies? So many questions can be asked and answered, making space for the work of Christmas, which shouldn't have to wait until after the holidays. Let me read this, my favorite poem of the season, The Work of Christmas by Howard Thurman, as inspiration for your own pondering. When the song of the angels is stilled, when the star in the sky is gone, when the kings and princes are home, when the shepherds are back with their flock, the work of Christmas begins. To find the lost, to heal the broken, to feed the hungry, to release the prisoner, to rebuild the nations, to bring peace among others, to make music in the heart. May it be so.
Good morning. It is good to be with you. I invite you to settle in here as we create a place of communal caring and connection. It's our time to pause amidst the busyness of our lives, to slow down enough to consider the beauty that is here all around us, and to open a space for listening and love. Here, we honor all who support us in this caring, loving, and all-inclusive ministry. We send gratitude to Linda Thompson, serving as our caring coordinator, arranging care for our members and friends in need. The members of our caring committee are wonderful examples of our compassionate community, holding us up as we go through challenging and happy times. And life can be challenging. We could all use some extra support with what life throws at us. And if you are experiencing those challenges in your life, we encourage you to reach out for support and help. If you need additional care, whether it be personal, pastoral care, or other assistance, please reach out to Reverend Luke or myself with that request. In this community, we share pieces of our lives with one another. We do this because all people here have value. Each person's experience matters. We lift up those who are experiencing sadness, illness, or loneliness. May the strength and love in our congregation help guide you. We revel in those who are experiencing joys in their lives. May their happiness lift us all, and may their joy filter into all around them. May all of us find love, hope, joy, and healing strength in our community. All good news to share today. Jay Smith continues to recover from several strokes as he stays at the Mayo Care Center in Lake City, Minnesota. He says that they are working him hard, and he hopes to be back to Rochester and to church in early January. He thanks you all for the well wishes and cards of support. And Shelley Rohe is grateful to be home and recovering quickly from her hand surgery. She will work with occupational therapy to regain mobility and strength, and sends thanks and appreciation for all of the messages of support. Here, our service to each other, to the world, and to our faith is our focus. Let us carry that out into the wider world. May the faith in the Spirit of life, love for the community of earth, and love for the light in each other be ours now and in all the days to come.
I invite you to take a deep breath. Breathe deep the breath of life. Feel below you the earth and its ancient turning, and above you the sky. And beyond that, the stars shining with their ancient light, holding you in this moment, this breath. Yourself made of earth and stars. Know that in this house you are named, you are known as beloved, as sacred. I invite you into this time of meditation, this time of prayer, first by sharing silence together. Spirit of life, source of love, God of many names and beyond all naming. In the rush of all the things, the tasks or the plans, or the grief or the loss, the logistics of too many events or the sadness at the lack thereof, help us notice simple gifts, like the bird singing on the branch for the simple reason that the sun rose again, or the small lights in windows or homes across the distance, as if to say quietly to one another, love still shines here and can reach you, no matter how far. Or the care showed for someone in pain, or the kindness offered from a stranger, or the steam from a cup or a bowl, saying to us, let it rest for a minute, take a breath, hold space for prayer and for gratitude. In this sacred hour, we hold our joys and our sorrows, our own and our others, both spoken and silent. This day, we especially hold longtime member Bill Sigelkow and his family. His wife, Connie. Bill died in late November, and we'll be holding a service for him in early January. In the rising of the sun and in its going down, we will remember him. I invite you to bring the names that you're holding in your own heart this day, in joy or in sorrow, in celebration or concern, and silently or aloud now in this space to speak their names. For all the names spoken and unspoken, may we all be held in love and grace. These words of meditation are from Patricia Fagnoli, who writes, "If you have gone out in the snow for only the pleasure of walking barely protected from the galaxies, and the flakes settling on your parka like the dust from just-born stars, the cold waking you as if from long sleeping, then you can understand how more often than not, truth is found in silence. How the natural world comes to you if you go out to meet it. Its icy ditches filled with dead weeds, its vacant birdhouses and dens full now of sleeping. For this is the slowed down season, held fast by darkness, and if no one comes to keep you company, then keep watch over your own solitude. In that stillness, you will learn with your whole body the significance of cold and night." May it be so. Amen.
The first reading is Snow Becoming Light by Morning by Jill Osier. In case you sit across from the meteorologist tonight, and in case the dim light over the booth in the bar still shines, almost planetary on your large, smooth, winter-softened forehead, in case all of the day, its woods and play, its fire, has stayed on your beard and will stay through the slight drift of mouth, the slackening of even your heart's muscle. Well, I am filled with snow. There's nothing to do now but wait. The second reading is Blizzard by Linda Paston. The snow has forgotten how to stop. It falls, stuttering at the glass, a silk windsock of snow blowing under the porch light, tangling trees which bend like old women snarled in their own knitting. Snow drifts up to the step over the doorsill, a pointillist blur, the wedding of form and motion, shaping itself to the wish of any object it touches. Chairs become laps of snow. The moon could be breaking apart and falling over the eaves of the roof, a white bear shaking its paw at the window, splitting the hive of winter. Snow stinging the air. I pull a comforter of snow up to my chin and tumble to sleep as the whole alphabet of silence falls out of the sky. And now we will receive the offering.
Brady and Austin. The goal was always creating something as tall as each other, we thought, in the large open field outside the school. These fields where kickball games of weeks past or the dreaded mile run were now quieted by the hush of a winter sky. This field now turned to the annual ritual of rolling a snowball as large as a person. I don't know if you did that too, and it still happens. We had to take turns, some of us pushing, some adding snow to the sides or the front, adjusting in different directions. This rare ritual of communal cooperation among young children. It was as if the first sticky snowfall of the season was a clarion call saying, "Here is a field filled with possibility and with wonder." I loved the simple, subtle teaching of the sky, as if it said to us, wait until there is enough of what you need. Wait until the storm is mostly done. Wait until recess, probably. And then work hard together and roll into reality what surely you believed was going to be a new wonder of the world. There's a natural back and forth that happens this season. In some ways, that reminds me of that field. The intensity of the cold or a snowstorm or ice in this climate that can drive many of us inside, seeking warmth and shelter, slowing us down from the more freely moving warm seasons, knowing that to survive, we must shelter from the cold. It's like the poet says, the snow has forgotten how to stop. I pull a comforter of snow up to my chin, writes Linda Paston, and tumble to sleep as the whole alphabet of silence falls out of the sky. Or as poet Jill Ossier writes, I'm filled with snow, there's nothing to do now but wait. It's a quiet invitation, one hard to notice in the flurry of all the things, of events or planning, the logistics of the holidays like Anne mentioned to us. Whether or not everyone will be healthy enough again, we're still asking that question, like the haunting ghost of Christmas 2020, still asking us that question. So it's good, too, in the realization, the reminder of slowing down, be it by blizzard of the sky or blizzard of the soul, that pause, wait, rest is not an invitation to isolation or hibernation, but when the world feels like storm, that's our natural reminder, maybe like Friday morning this past week, to take it easy, to take a pause, to regather our strength or our breath before bundling up when we need to and going out into a world of beauty and wonder and work. Winter storms are good reminders to wait it out until the storm is done, before it's time to clear safe passage for one another again. Maybe MnDOT has one of the easiest slogans for the Spirit, even as they likely didn't intend it as a religious or spiritual message. Stay back, stay alive. Don't rush, don't crowd. Leave a little room for one another to go about safely in this world. Leave a little room, slow down, wait. Perhaps that's why this season, particularly in the northern climates, is filled with so many practices and stories and ancient rituals that come from lighting candles. Lighting candles against the dark, telling and making stories about the light to drive the dark away after a time, says the old solstice poem. After you greet it and honor it, then you light candles. There is something about the necessity of movement and motion, not just quiet, where we need to keep warm, to not let the cold and the dark settle too deeply or permanently. There's an invitation there in the midst of dark to sing and dance and play and cook, to move around, to stay warm in body and spirit, a necessitated merriment of the soul and the self to stay alive. Somewhere in the middle of all these things, this swirl of the season, I think, is a place to rest our weary or overburdened or exhausted souls, to find moments or experiences, rituals, traditions, practices that truly hold us and hold a sense of meaning to us. Even if they might not have deep personal meaning anymore, some of these old stories or relationships hold a memory for us. Sometimes the whole point of a ritual or a tradition, something we bake or some little decoration we put out, is about the joy that it brings or brought someone we love. And it's like a little gateway of joy back to that person or to some memory in body, across distance, or in memory, and brings that memory, that love back to life. It's about intention before it gets whisked away by monetized nostalgia, the commercialism that teaches that if you want to feel merry and bright, there are certain things you need to do or to buy. We know that old, crusty story of capitalism that falls so flat, so quick to leave us empty. I learned a new phrase this year. I don't think it quite made it into the word or phrase of the year, as those are going around too right now, but it caught my attention and seemed to speak of something important. It's a phrase called this: sprawling holidays. Anne Helen Peterson wrote about it in this way. She says, holidays have come to feel like mini marathons spread out over several days, if not weeks, particularly for parents and children. Holidays are now seasons unto themselves, she writes, with performances and consumption habits and photos, the experience of which oscillates between joy and slightly numb obligation. I love that phrase. Somewhere between joy and slightly numb obligation. I think many can appreciate that. And this particular article was at the end of the fall, which has provided an exponential increase in activities, rightfully and understandably so, following the last few years of forced inactivity and scarcity of events. It's just part of our own realities in church planning too. We're trying to pack so many things in this season, do all the things, make up for lost time. Maybe you are feeling that too. But we can pack so much in sometimes that we fill our lives in such a way that can feel empty or obligated. Peterson wrote about the sheer volume of possible activities her family could be involved in one weekend in her mid-sized town. She said, we've got corn mazes, pumpkin patches, cider donuts. Every other corner has a church trunk or treat. And then in all of the other holidays, too, there's an Easter tree or an elaborate leprechaun visit or Independence Day peeps. I love that last one, Independence Day peeps. They go everywhere. She rightfully recounts some of the origins of this, how Christmas, which already colonized solstice, turns from a religious observance into a gift-giving phenomenon, along with intense festivity, which was historically done mostly by servants of the house, and then eventually, of course, the women of the house, which often still happens. And then the pressure to perform these holidays, she writes, a way to express to oneself or one's community your place and worth and level in society. She, like me, doesn't hate holidays. In fact, it's one of the things I love most about church. That's why I do this stuff, marking the arc of the year with rituals that help hold that time and the seasons to mark the year. And yet there is something so against the actual invitation of the season and the natural world itself in these celebrations. The invitation to slow down and celebrate the gifts of dark and the beauty of light. Instead, that invitation can so quickly become obscured in some sort of holiday cultural blizzard of what she calls the sprawling, expensive, exhausting holiday impulse and the very American practice of filling every opportunity for stillness with activity. The season itself, at its best, asks and calls for a balance toward holding things lightly, making the choices we can, which may be limited, of how we spend our time or our resources, our souls for the season. That's where an appropriate humbug comes in. Here in what I call my annual Humbug sermon, it normally always happens the second week in December, whether I'm feeling it or not. It just naturally is there. to call to these questions about how we spend our time in the seasons, to this nonsense that's in our culture, that we can fill our souls and our hearts and be well nourished by the Black Friday deals or the end cap trinkets or the endless orders and expectations to be wowed and amazed by things. For me, this season always comes with echoes of a hymn that we sang a few weeks ago. While I know you might not have all the hymns memorized like me, I don't know why. I mean, Austin, Joe, isn't this the normal thing? Don't most people memorize hymns and hymnals and study them? Definitively no. But the old hymn phrase nonetheless holds, whether by word or mostly by feeling. The old hymn phrase is to be rich in things but poor in soul. Rich in things and poor in soul. That's the spiritual question almost always, especially in this season that seems hell-bent to tell us differently. How do we lean toward the gifts that are deeper and more sustaining than just the next click on Amazon or the next deal online or 1,000 other things we think are told as necessities? How will we fill our days with meaning and purpose and joy, knowing that some of it is just humbug, nonsense, ridiculous? I'm going to do something now that makes Erica at the tech deck a little nervous. When I go free-range preaching, I warned her I was going to leave the pulpit. I want to pass these. You want to help pass these out? We have a handout for you today as part of the sermon. Take one, pass them around. Or you can pass some back that way. And I will invite you to think about in your own life this practice that we try to do in our own household, and it sometimes holds and sometimes doesn't. Do you need some more? Here. I just need one. So on here you have our UU7 principles on one side, and you have our 6 sources on the back. What we try to do, and like I said, it's a practice, we often fail to do it, is set this on our table, and when we gather for dinner around our table each night, we light a little chalice, and then we try to remember what day of the week it is. And we've assigned a principle to each day. Sunday is the first principle, and a principle to each day, and we go throughout. And so we try to have some, at least, snippet of the conversation at the dinner table to be about one of the principles, whatever that principle is that day. So that might not work for you. Maybe your schedules or your days, parts of your days don't land in such a routine sort of way. Ours often doesn't either. But think about, is there a time during the day, each day, where you might pause? Whether it's around a principle, or a source, or a piece of poetry, or a favorite piece of music that comes to mind, or just a time to breathe. Maybe it's when you wake up and greet the day and you're waiting for the coffee to brew or the tea to warm, the kettle to be hot. Maybe it's in the middle of the day. Maybe this is a bookmark that you put in something that you know you're going to have to read or want to read. Maybe it's before a meal. Maybe it's at the end of day when the sun has said it's time to rest and darkness surrounds you. Maybe it's part of some spiritual practice before yoga, or it's while you're cooking. You set it on the side of the counter and you meditate a little bit. Think about, what does this principle mean in my life? What does it even mean at all? Many thanks to Amy for putting this set of principles out. This is the kids' version, and I'll have to admit quietly, that's my favorite version. The simple, accessible language. And I think that's the question I have, at least for myself, is wondering, how am I guiding my day and my resources, my intent, my mind, to frame my days and my life around simple values that I hold, that are often not at the front of my mind because of the input coming from a noisy, frenzied world? How am I thinking about that each person is important, or how to be kind in everything I do? How to make sure that we are free to learn together and search for truth, to know that each person needs a voice to be able to build a fair and peaceful world and to care for the earth and all living things. work together for diversity against racism and oppression. That is the proposed 8th principle of the UUA, which we're working on now. And then if you flip it over, that first source, this month's theme, basically, how to be open to mystery and wonder. So think about the arc of your day, of when you might practice that. And we know that people's lives are super busy or complicated, or you can't necessarily either remember or find the time or make the time or feel like you have the right mindset, soul set. So that's what we do at church with a plethora of opportunities. We make sure we set aside that time to light candles, to take a breath, and to pause, whether you think you need it or not. That's what ritual does. That's what pausing does. And I know it's a big ask, but asking those questions and making space, making choices each day to nurture love and justice, because this season will take all your energy if you let it. It will be this incessant snowball roll on a field, taking shifts between pushing and pausing to behold something that is created so large. This season, I think that's right. As the poet says, the sky forgets to stop snowing. All these demands, the immensity of pressure of how to act, what to buy, what you need to create, as if as soon as you hear Mariah Carey's voice, all sadness should disperse and festiveness shall endure forever for the season. It's not quite true, is it? It can so quickly start piling up and keep piling up around you. It has capacity to consume your heart and make no space for your soul, to make you feel like you aren't doing enough, or really deep down what it feels like it's saying is that you aren't enough. But you are enough. And the holiday will be what it will be. We all know this, but it bears repeating that no matter your plans, no matter your full or empty home, regardless of tradition or hopes or more, some things will probably go wrong. Some things will be different than expected or worse. Some harsh words may be exchanged between family or friends, or some harsh feelings might be felt deeper than words can go. Some moments won't feel the way you hope. It might feel like a bit of a humbug, but I still believe naming and knowing uncertainty and imperfection of our lives and this world, and knowing that is normal and it happens, is something we need to hear over and over again. That does not make one deficient or unworthy or less beloved. There are ways to enter the season with practices of intention and meaning. There's no one way to do it. There's 1,000 ways to do it. It need not be a rejection of the season or tradition or ritual. It need not be a Scrooge-like humbug toward all things holiday, but it can be settling into a deeper truth of what the season brings in ancient ways, like in these words from Diana Butler Bass. She writes, "The season recognizes a profound spiritual truth, that we need not fear the dark. Instead, wait there. For you cannot rush the night, but you can light some candles, sing some songs, recite poetry, say some prayers. Under that blue cope of heaven, be alert for signs of dawn." The hymn is Dark of Winter. I invite you to rise in body or spirit as we sing. Dark of winter, soft and still, invite you, as you're comfortable, to place a hand on your heart or toward the sky or the earth in gratitude and take a deep breath. Imagine the season as a field, wide open, full of wonder and possibility, inviting you into community, inviting you into creativity, and also inviting you to behold the beauty that is always there. Amen.